Hi, my name is James with the Contractor Licensing School, and these are just a few common mistakes that we see from people filling out their CSLB application to get their contractor's license. So the first mistake would be in section number 1, the first page you start filling out. It says full business name. You do have to have a sole proprietorship established and registered with the county recorder's office, or you have to have a corporation registered with the Secretary of State. You do have to have one. We can help you file those things unless you have someone who can do that for you. The next mistake would be literally one box over from where it says full business name. It's a classification requested. There's a bunch of lines in there. It's like parentheses and a bunch of letters. It looks like you don't put anything in it, but you have to put your license that you're getting. If you're getting drywall, C9, or if you're getting electrical, C10, or if you're doing a general contractor's license, do general B or general A or something like that. You do have to fill that out. You have your business mailing address and your business physical address. You do have to put an address in there. So your mailing address, it can be a P.O. box, but your physical address has to be a physical address. So if that's your home, if that's an office, you do want to keep in mind that physical address will be public record for the entire world to see. So I can look up your contractor's license and I can find your address, essentially. There is something that we offer for our students. If you guys wanted to be a part of it, it's called a virtual office. So a virtual office is an actual physical address that you can put on your contracts for your clients, and you can put on the business street address. You can put it there for your license. So instead of having your home, made public record, it'll be our address, our office, that would be public record instead of yours, essentially. But you do have to put a physical address where it says business street address, and then the business mailing address, that can be a P.O. box if you want it to be. Then it asks for business phone number, business fax number, and business email. If you don't have a fax number, which most people don't, you have to write N/A, N/A, not applicable. If you leave it blank, CSLB might kick your application back. I literally had one of my students, his application was perfect, and he left business fax number blank, and CSLB kicked it back just for that reason. That was the only reason they gave. So I always have all my students put N/A, not applicable, if you don't have a fax number. If you do have a fax number, just put it in there. And then you do want to do an email, obviously, because it'll make your process go faster with the Contractor Licensing Board. They'll email you if they have any questions about anything. They'll email you for your test date instead of sending it to you in the mail, which will take a lot longer. Another mistake that we see in section number 3, where it says your qualifier's full legal name. That would be you, the person getting your contractor's license. You have to put your last name, your first name, and your middle name. If you don't have a middle name, you have to write N/A, not applicable. If you don't, you can get your application kicked back. Another common mistake would be in section 3 again, question number 6. It says qualifiers existing previous CSLB license number. If you've never had a contractor's license number before, you need to write N/A in there, not applicable. And then a percentage of new owner. That percentage sometimes gets a little messed up. If you're a sole proprietor, you own 100% of your company because you're a sole proprietor. If you are a corporation, you are the only person on your corporation, you don't have any other owners, you own 100%. If you have other owners, then you have to figure out if they own a percentage, if you own a percentage, how much percentages everybody owns, and then put your percentage in section 3. For question number 7 in section 3, it varies. It's your title or your position. It's who you are to your company. So if you're the owner, if you're the RMO, if you're the RME, all those kinds of things. So if you are a sole proprietor, you have a DBA with the county recorder's office, you are the owner. If you're a corporation, you are not the owner. You are the responsible managing officer if you're an S-Corp. If you're an LLC, you're a responsible managing member, all those kinds of things. A common mistake that we see on section 4 would be that you only use section 4 if you have multiple members of one company. So if you have a corporation and you own a percentage of the company, and maybe your wife owns a percentage, or a nephew or a son or a partner, a business partner, something like that, you would put the business partner or your wife or the other person who owns a percentage of your company on section 4. You don't put yourself on section 4 because you are the person getting your license and you are already on section number 3. So you only put the other members, the other owners of your corporation on section number 4. For section number 5, there is a question number 14. Currently, basically that is only for RMEs. That is a responsible managing employee. If you don't know what that means, you probably aren't going to be that, essentially. It's a very, very specific thing. If you're a sole proprietor, you leave question 14 blank, actually. It's the only thing you leave blank. If you're going to be a S corporation and you own the company, then you are going to leave that blank. Basically, an RME is you're getting a license to work at a really big company and you're still their employee. You know, so they take care of you pretty well. They usually pay for your license, they pay for you to go to school, they pay for all of that stuff. They pay you pretty well because they are using your license to do construction, essentially. So if you are in that situation, then you have to answer that question. But if you're not, and you own your own company, whether you're a sole proprietor or a corporation, you leave that one blank. There are a few mistakes that we see on the certification of work experience page. That one is where you prove you have your 4 years of experience. So one mistake is qualifying individual part 1. You have to write your full legal name, last name, first name, middle name. If you don't have a middle name, write NA. You cannot do an initial for your middle name. You have to write your full middle name if you do have one. And then for your time frames in part 2, you do have to write a month, a day, and a year. So you can't just write, you know, Jan 2nd to present. No, that's not going to work. You have to do, you know, 01 for January, then 01 for the day you started in January, if that's when you started working, and then 2015, whatever it is, to the current date of August 23rd, 2023. You know, so you have to write actual month, day, and year. And then something else is if you worked part-time and you check that box, because that's what you did, that's totally fine. You know, that cuts your time frame in half. So if you so essentially you need to work part-time for 8 years in order to have 4 years of experience, if that makes sense. Another mistake that we see with the paragraph where you list off your trade, your experience, is people will do, like, they'll write really nice paragraphs, essentially. They'll say, you know, I knew Bob for 5 years and he's a great guy and he goes to church every weekend and he has a good family and he worked for me for 5 years and he knows what he's doing and he knows his stuff. And your application is probably going to get kicked back. So you want to literally just list off every single thing you have done in construction. CSLB really likes to see hands-on experience. They do accept some project management, but they want to see you doing the work, essentially. So just as an example, if you're doing cabinet license, you're trying to get a cabinets license, you would literally want to say something like, I know Bob for 5 years. He has done these following trades. He's sanded cabinets, he's refaced, refinished cabinets, he's built cabinets from scratch, he's done frames, he's done crown molding, he's done base molding, he's, you know, worked with subcontractors, you know, just literally everything he has physically done. They want to see that kind of stuff. And you want to fill out the paragraph as much as you can. And really when our students, when we help them fill these things out, because we are a contractor school, we can help you navigate all of this stuff. As long as you do have 4 years of experience, you are eligible to get your contractor's license with the Contractor State Licensing Board. We never fill this out for our students because we don't know what they've done in construction. So we'll sit with them and go over everything with them and, you know, help them write it, essentially. But they have to write it because they know what they have done in construction, and they can list everything off much better than we can, essentially, because they actually did the work, you know? So that's great. Another mistake that we see is on number 7 for the certification of work experience, my business relationship to. That is going to be your name, the person getting their contractor's license. That is not the person signing for you, that's not somebody else. That is, if I'm getting my contractor's license, I put my name on number 7 on the certification of work experience. Usually this page is filled out by the person signing for you. It kind of depends on your situation. All of this stuff is just a few common mistakes that we see. Obviously everything does vary depending on the person, and you wouldn't want to take this as like 100% legal advice to fill out your application. There's better videos on YouTube to check out. We can actually put a link in the description below so you can check out one of those videos that we made, how to fill out the state application. And like I already said before, we are a contractor school. We can help you navigate this entire process of filling out your application for original contractor's license for your contractor's license. You can give us a call on the number on the screen if you want some more information about any of that stuff, or you could always check out our website.